Hey, welcome back to another video of Wise Interactive Learning. In this video, we are going to go through the basics of calculus. And by hearing calculus, most of us get depressed. Why? Because we have learned it in such a way that if we put in a formula, we get the answer out, right? And we think that calculus is just about limits, differentiation and integration. But it is more about that, right? So let's get into it. We have a game. Game time, game time, game time. So the game is very simple. You have a pizza on every day. The rules are very simple. You have to share that pizza with someone else and every day a new person comes in. So on first day you're going to eat by yourself. On second day you have to share it with two people. On third day you have to share it with three people and so on and so forth. So let's see what happens. On first day you can eat your pizza which is 1/1 which is 100%. So you are happy about it. On second day, you have to share it with two people, which is you and another person. So 1/2, which is 0.5 or rather 50%. So for understanding, we'll keep denominator's value as x and the actual pizza part will keep it as y. So on the fourth day, we will have a quarter of pizza, which is 1/4, which is 0.25. So you get only a quarter slice. If we do this pattern on 1/8th day, we will have 1/8 which is 0.125, right? So if we go on counting the days, what will happen? On 100 day or 1000 day or 10,000 day, what we'll have is, we'll have values like 0.01, 0.001, 0.0001, and the idea over here is that as we go on increasing the value of x, the values of y are going towards 0. Okay, now we'll do a trick over here. We'll shuffle those numbers and we'll exchange x and y. Now you can see that 1/0.5 is actually 2, right? And what we can see is, as the denominator is going towards 0, the y value is going towards infinity. So that's the whole idea, which is to tell you that as the denominator is getting increased or it is going towards 0, the value is actually getting bigger or it is going towards 0. So this is what the main concept of calculus can be learned. If you know this, your calculus is done, and this is how we are going to say it. Well, we'll look what this game has to do with calculus, right? And in fact, the word calculus is also an abbreviation of infinitesimal calculus, right? And we'll look what is the real calculus around it. So what is calculus? Well, calculus is nothing but mathematics of change. And where did it come from, right? So there was this person called as Isaac Newton, and here is the story, right? It is not clarified if he or Gottlieb Leibniz discovered it, but here is what they did. So what they were doing was, they thought that, see, if there is Earth's surface, right? And if there is an apple, so as soon as the apple falls, due to gravitational force, it is hitting the ground with the higher speed. But there is this huge mass, which we call it as moon. It is not hitting the ground. Well, it is held by the same gravitational force, but it is not hitting the ground. Then why is it happening? So what they saw was, the Earth's gravitational force is inversely proportional, which you can see over here. So if we take the graph of distance as compared to the gravitational force, you'll have something like this, which is exactly what we did in the pizza game, right? So here is what Isaac Newton did. So he knew that the gravitational force as opposed to distance is an inverse function, right? And in order to achieve this, what he said was, I just need exactly the slope of a tangible point, or exactly 1 point's slope. But you can't have slope when you don't have two different values to compare, right? In just like a straight line, you can compare 2 points and you can have the slope, but here you can't have. So here is the aha moment, right? So here is where he discovered something which is very, very, very outstanding. So what he did was, he thought of a circle and then he said something like, well, if I have chords of different length, and if I suppose that these chords become lesser and lesser in their value, then eventually we'll get to a certain point where, let's say if the point is P, where the actual length of chord will be 0, and that's something which very less people can figure out to do. So what I did was, in easier terms, I'll explain it over here. So let's say you have a function of y equals to f of x, and what he said was, let's take 2 points and consider this point it as x. So if I put x in this function, what will be the value? F of x. So this function's value, corresponding value will be f of x. And he said that let's take another point which is h width apart. Okay, so this point is h width apart. So we have a point over here, and since this is x and that is h, so this point will become x plus h. And now you can easily find out what is the slope, but this point's corresponding point will be f of x plus h. Why? Because you just insert the value of x plus h inside that point. Now you can have the tangible point, right? And here, what is tan theta? If you have to figure out what is tan theta for this angle, it will be the change in y upon change in x, right? So it is nothing but change in y upon change in x, right? And watch carefully what happens. For some reason they said this as gradient, right, which is m, but we know that this is a secant, right? So anything which passes by through cutting the chords is known as secant. So we'll just say it as secant, right? And what he said was, for this secant, m of secant, what is change in y? Well, we have two values, f of x plus h minus f of x, right? Which is f of x plus h minus f of x. That's it. And then what is change in x value? And this is x value, right? This is x axis, this is y axis. So what is change in x? It is x plus h minus x. And now you can figure out that, well, what do we actually want? It is nothing but m of secant f of x plus h minus f of x upon h, right? But what he was after is, if we close in this gap which is h such that it becomes 0, if you compress it in such a way that we go to closer and closer, which is the original idea in the pizza game, right, where we just put in the value such that we are going towards 0 but we are actually not hitting 0, right? So what is this? Well, we can see that as, well, we actually wanted what is the, so what he was behind was actually the finding the gradient of a tangent, right? Or not the gradient of secant. So instead of this, he said that we'll find a new notation and we'll just call it like this, which is m of tangent, which will be, see, since we are going to have h as 0, what he said was we'll just limit it as h is going towards 0, which is h tends to 0, and then we'll call this function as x plus h minus f of x upon h. And these were the first principles of calculus. If you have understood this complete video and why do we learn this, this is exactly what calculus is all about. You can easily go through all the chapters, you can easily go through all the questions if you understand this. If you have liked this video, please make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and also hit the bell icon so you can get notified. So make sure that you share this video with those people who are going to attend 12th standard in 2021. They are going to have very short period of time in the academic year since of the COVID-19 situation. So make sure that you share this on your WhatsApp. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.